Gabby the matchmaker has set me up on a second blind date, and this afternoon I'm going to meet him.
Okay, so I found out about this from another YouTuber, and I was shocked, because I know that there are things that exist like this, but I've never seen a case like this. And I've seen the progeria, which is a completely different thing, but this is a whole next level. So I was interested when I saw this. Jamari had covered it, and I figured I'd give my 2 cents, because it is very interesting, and I had my own thing to say. No fox cam, just me playing some Lost Ark. Hope you guys are okay with that.
I wanted them to be blind dates specifically on my end because there's a lot of judgment in people's faces when they first see me. So having it blind, having him not know what I look like, changes it.
I don't know about you, but wouldn't that make it worse? Like not knowing what to expect? I never got that. I had a guy do that to me before where he courted me and I didn't like him at first and then I ended up liking him because he was great. And then I was like, you know, he's kind of okay. I actually do like him. We like the same things. And then he says to his friends, should I tell her... should I tell her I have this condition? It's not an STD or anything like that. It's a condition that if you're dating someone, it's something they should know because you know, people have a preference and you can have a nice personality. But if you have like, say, a terminal illness where you're going to die in 3 years, that may change things. That's something that you have to divulge to people. There are just certain things that you have to divulge to people. Otherwise, your whole relationship's based on a lie. That's kind of catfishing. And in this case, I could understand how someone like her who has an 8-year-old body and the voice to boot. It's not even like she has a grown-up voice. She has the voice of an 8-year-old, the body of an 8-year-old. She basically got stuck in time in that body. They would think they're on a Chris Hansen show. Is it Chris Hansen or Jim Henson? God damn it. I don't. The guy who does the whole petty people that are gross and then they go to house and they know these kids are underage.
Hi, I'm Shauna.
Hi, Shauna. How you doing?
Good,
I'm
how
Abraham.
are you?
Nice to meet you.
You don't look like an Abraham.
What do I look like?
I don't know, but not an Abraham.
What the fuck? What is that supposed to mean? What, did you expect a Jewish person sitting in front of you? Like, what? I don't even understand that statement. You know, there's certain things you just should not say. And I think she gets away with it because, you know, she's stuck in that body so she can get away with more stuff that she says. But don't say that. Don't say that. It's not, I'm sure she doesn't mean anything by it. But, you know, the optics aren't exactly proper in this situation.
Well, give me a hug.
Oh, a hug? You want a hug? Oh,
Yes.
Oh. I don't like hugs. I hate hugs. No one knows how to hug a short person. I legit despise when people try to hug me.
I'm very thankful to be here right now.
I mean, he dealt with it the best way he could, and respect to him for that. Still don't like hugs.
I can understand where she's coming from, but I feel like a lot of the stuff that she says is very judgmental, and I understand this is probably also a defense mechanism that she's put up, but a lot of the things you have to remember is, if you've gone through trauma, and I'm sure she has, not to mention anybody who is interested in being with her is probably interested in being with her for the wrong freaking reason, and even if it is for the right freaking reason, you'll never know it. You know, so it's not even fair to that person if they're like, no, I legitimately like you, understanding that you have a condition, not because you sound like an 8-year-old child or look like one. She'll never believe him. And can you know, it's a very horrible situation. However, you know, it's very, man, it's tough. It's tough for her. It's tough for the guys that like her. I can't imagine what this must be like. But the worst thing you could do in that situation, if you are actively searching for a romantic partner because you don't want to be alone, is be hyper judgmental of other people when you yourself don't like to be judged. You know, it just makes you come off as bitter, and then you will end up alone. I've gone through trauma. A lot of people I know have gone through trauma. The difference is I've forgiven all those people that did those things to me, even though I was underage. And even when I was of age, those people that hurt me, I forgave everybody. You know what? I don't want their lives to be ruined. I don't want them to do it to anybody else, but I'm not bitter over that. Was I a little more untrusting? Of course. Of course I was distrustful against other people. Like I now know what to look for with certain things. I was way too naive and way too lovey-dovey with everyone, and I paid for that, even as a child when it wasn't my fault. But I am not gonna grow up bitter and say that every man and woman is evil, because that's not true. Even though I did start to go down that road with certain people would do certain stuff to me, I grew up knowing that it's not everybody's fault, and people in the future shouldn't have to pay for what people in the past do to you. I believe in giving everyone a chance until they give you a reason not to. Trusting people to a certain degree until they give me a reason not to. But if you just go into every other encounter that you have with this hyper judgmental aura about you, you're gonna make yourself unlikable, and nobody will want to be with you. But then it's the catch-22 because nobody does want to be with her because she's like that. And even if, let's just say that there's some sick mind out there who's like, oh my god, this is great. I could be with an 8-year-old and not actually go to jail. Like, that's freaking weird. But then if there are a sane person who is actually aware, which most of these people, let's face it, are not, they're also thinking about how it looks to everybody else. Let's say you're married to this girl and she's like 30 or something. Let's say she's in her 40s and you're going out with her and she still looks like that, and you're all kissing and hugging, and she's dressed in, you know, and then people are like, oh my god, should we call the cops? Because she's not the one who's gonna really get the blunt end of the stick. You know what I mean? It's gonna be a major cop block for her all the time. But you gotta imagine you as the guy. You're gonna be the one seen walking around with what everyone else thinks is a 8 to 9-year-old child. Something that sounds and looks like one. Not just looks like one, sounds like one. That is rough. That is rough. It's not something you see all the time. Even people who have dwarf syndrome, they at least sound like adults for the most part. They also look like adults even though they're short. Even the people with extreme dwarf cases, they sound like children, but they don't look like children. You can tell looking at them, oh, that person has a condition. But with her, you can't tell. It just literally looks like an 8-year-old. And I'm sorry if there are things that I say that offend people. I hope that you don't take it that way. We should be able to just have these conversations as adults and people not flying off the deep end thinking, oh my god, you're offending everyone and hurting these people. Please, cry me a fucking river of ketchup. We should just be able to talk. If I have a swollen head the size of a rhinoceros's ass, something is wrong with me. It's not for one of being mean. I have a condition. Something is wrong with me because the way that my head is supposed to grow is not the way it's growing. It's not growing right, it's growing wrong. Does it mean that I don't have rights as a person? No. So please. Reef. I hate that I even have to disclose that. But yes, people can't tell off the bat that something is wrong, that there's an issue with this person having a genetic disorder or disease or whatever is going on with her because she looks normal to everyone as a child. I know that there are situations like where I was watching the clips and she's very frustrated with people, but you cannot also blame people when they can't tell. It's kind of like someone looking at you and you look like a traditional male or female and then you fly off the handle because someone misgenders you. When I had cut my hair short a long time ago, my mom used to use the flat iron in my hair because I used to love the bone straight look. And my hair was very poofy and curly and like huge. So she's like, you know what? I can't deal with all of this. Brushing out these tangles every morning is just ridiculous. So she would flat iron my hair and she didn't know what to do back then. So after a while, she started burning it off. And my hair that was mid-back length was she just decided, you know what, let's just start over. And imagine someone already being bullied at school for being an outcast and being too shy or whatever. And then on top of that, as a girl, cutting all my hair off. Cutting all of it off. I looked like a boy. So when I went to school, people thought, oh, you're a boy. And I also wore baggy clothes and stuff like that because people used to stare at me. And, you know, those same people who bullied me were also the same people that when they got me alone would, I guess they learned that from the adults, the shit that they would say and stuff that they would try to do, like grab my tits. And I didn't say anything because I'm shy. Like, that's me screaming. That was never something I did. I would always like grab myself, like cover myself and like try to walk in the other direction. It was a lot. Anyway, I wore baggy clothes and stuff so nobody could tell. I was also a tomboy, so I tried to let people leave me alone. So I had my head down. I was having a headache that day and the teacher was like, I guess she was calling my name and I didn't hear. I was just super exhausted. I had another issue with my mom. I didn't like being home. It was a lot. So she says, young man, and everyone busts out laughing because it's so funny, you know. And the reason they were laughing so hard is not because it was funny. It's because I was an outcast. outcast. And that's what you do. You laugh at the person who's the outcast. It was the kind of laughter that's like, I find it funny too. No, it was the kind of laughter where everyone's laughing at you directly. So I just gave her a death stare, because when you're growing up in that situation, you can't cry, you can't run, you can't do anything like that. You just have to act hard. So I just looked at her and she was like, oh, I am so sorry. Once I picked my head up and she saw my face, she realized, oh, you're a girl. And I just said nothing to her. I didn't say anything to anyone. It was already bad enough. But then imagine having your long, pretty hair and then your mother decides to cut all of it off. Not just cut off the damage, just cut off all your fucking hair. To be fair to my mom, she did not know I was being bullied in school. But you had to have known, like, growing up with kids in junior high, how people are gonna look at you. And she's like, oh, you look so cute with your round little face. No. Yeah, I did look cute, but my hair was my joy. And it was horrible. I remember crying as she was shaving it off. And I was like, this is kind of overkill, because all the other parts that were growing normally that weren't damaged by the heat were like up to my chin. She could have given me a nice little bob or a pixie cut. Nope, shave the whole shit off. Let's go Ethiopia in this bitch. Let's just, all of it. If I could go back in time. Now my hair's longer. Now that I have full control over all of my stuff, now I do my own hair, I do all of that. Point of the matter is, in that moment, I was mad at everyone laughing at me, and I only gave the teacher that glare because I wanted to look hard for everybody else. As Brooklyn, what do you want? But then I can't really blame people. I can't really hold it against them if from the back I look like a boy. Just like there were some cases where there were some guys that had long hair and from the back they look like girls. My partner told me about the situation where he had longer hair when he was younger, and when he was very thin, he looked like a girl. People would see him like, hey, miss, turns around and they see the soul patch. And they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But no one means any malice by it, and I understand that. So for her case, it's just one of those things, you can't hold it against people. I understand her reason for being frustrated. She completely has a right to be frustrated. But then you can't be super judgmental at people like they're supposed to read your mind and know that this little person in front of me right now that's like 3 foot something and sounds like a child is actually an adult. Because the first thing I would be like is, no, you're not. I am an adult. I'm 22. Come on. Any regular person would think you're trolling. There are times when I've gone to the movie theater as an adult and people are carding me and I'm like, I'm over 18. No, you're not. Okay. And I can't blame them because I look younger than my age. So, and I'm short to boot. I'm like, I'm not 4 foot something. Like, why is it such a big deal? But that's just what happens. Is it annoying? Sure. Am I mad at those people personally? Of course not. Because I can understand where they're coming from. There are a million kids who probably go in there and lie about their age as well.
Yeah,
Do
come
I
on.
sit?
Yeah, come on, come on.
Okay.
Honestly, I was a little surprised, and I was like, all right, let me just, keep myself contained, because I thought that I was, being punked or something at first. I did get a little background. I was told that she had like a form of cancer and that it may have like affected her growth a little. I tried not to hear too much more. I just wanted to come into this with no expectations and just have a good time.
I'm Chris Hansen. No, you're not.
All in all, this is a crappy situation for poor Shauna. It's a crappy situation for the guys involved as well. This guy that she went to go meet is very handsome, and if he comes from a good upbringing or family background, which it seems as though he does, I don't think because of the optics, he would even want to be in a relationship with this person because of how it looks, how it makes him look. Nobody wants to be walking around with their significant other and people thinking that they're trying to rob a freaking cradle. Or is it rob cradle or take the cradle? Rob the cradle. Robbing the grave. Why would you rob a cradle? You know what? It doesn't even matter. It's sucky for Shauna. What should she do in this case? I think the best thing for her is to get someone who looks like her. And I know that people in those situations don't like hearing that. I've had people in that situation where they're just not real with their condition. And they're like, no, I can do this and I can get this. Just like people, I know this is going to hurt some people's feelings, but it's not intended to, who are like 700 pounds. And instead of working on themselves or getting help, they expect that the Lord is going to drop down in their lap somebody who looks like freaking Chris Hemsworth. because, you know, they're worth it and all that jazz. And in those cases, those people can do something about it. Shauna can't do anything about her situation. She can't make herself look any better or older or whatever. And if she does, she's gonna mar her face. Like, it's a whole thing with her. If she shaves her head, she looks like a little boy. Like, there's absolutely nothing she can do. One other thing that she probably could do is train her voice. I had done that. I had trained my voice to be deeper so I could survive at the end of junior high and high school. She can train her voice to be a little bit deeper. It's going to take some work, but I know there's vocal lessons you can take. You can do it yourself. It won't feel like you, but at least when you're in public, people will take you a little bit more seriously. And that's something that she's probably going to have to spend years doing. But then, like, how much more, you know, it's a horrible situation. Or get a guy that's really, really short. But then it's the old age-old thing. She might get those people and they'll be okay with it, but then she doesn't want to be with people like that. She's a 22-year-old person who wants to be with people her age or other normal people. That's what she's attracted to. How do you tell her, hey, sucks to be you, just choose someone who looks like a child as well and sounds like one? And she's probably going to be like, I'm not attracted to that. The sucky thing is, neither are most people. It sucks. The guys that do want to be with her, that would be okay with it, you know, because it's gross, but legal. You know, you knowing that the reason they're with you is because, man, girl, so lucky I found you. You look like you're 8. Just the right amount of firmness. Like, you just know the whole relationship is in poor taste. And that is probably the only thing you're going to get. I can't even begin to imagine what that must be like for her. Jesus Christ. It's, man, I don't even want to think about it anymore. Like, that, I don't know what to say. Like, I am so speechless right now. Like, I don't know what to say. Don't know what to say. Wear more makeup, put on tattoos. Is this what other people were trying to say? Yeah, but then she looks like an 8-year-old prostitute. And then it makes it look like we're her parents. That person's taking advantage of her. She's a pimp. Like, anything you can think of to try and have a workaround is going to end up backfiring on this poor girl. What do you guys think? Because maybe I haven't thought of something yet. You know, I know that there are surgeries where you can, like, elongate your bones. But sorry, I don't know why I'm laughing. It's uncomfortable, that's why. But then, you know, if you do that, you look like an 8-year-old on stilts. So, you do, if you don't, you die. If you do, it's horrible. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And what would you do if you were in her situation? What do you think you would do if you were in her situation? Would you be okay with men dating you, knowing that the reason they're probably doing it is because such and such and such? Would you be like, I'll take one for the team, because if they're with me, they won't go after other people? What would you do? Let's have this conversation. We're all adults. Let's have this conversation, you know? Or let's not.